guys, Nadeska Alexis here for Complex News reporting from Havana, Cuba. Over the last year, President Obama has been working really hard to restore diplomatic ties between the US and Cuba, and it looks like more Americans will have a chance to visit the Caribbean island over the next year. On this trip, we're actually here with Usher, who's getting ready to drop his 8th album, but he's taking a quick break to explore the music and art scene in Cuba, so we figured we'd tag along and have some fun with him. All right, hold on. Let me actually tell you this story from the beginning. It's not often that an artist like Usher invites you on a White House-sanctioned trip to visit a country like Cuba that's been off limits for US citizens for 50 years. So once we got that invite, it was an immediate go. We had to get our visas expedited, then we connected in the Cayman Islands, and finally landed in Havana feeling pretty damn excited until we realized that we might have been way too confident in our Spanish-speaking abilities.
Internacional, un poquito. Habla despacio y bueno. Cuba. Policía. Policía.
We stayed at a local residence instead of a hotel and basically spent the first hour struggling to communicate with the staff until thankfully we found our new homie Juan, who spoke a decent amount of English and pretty much saved our asses. Technically, he was a security guard, but he quickly became our tour guide, assistant, photographer, and our friend. At one point, I even caught him helping our editor Kyle to cuff his pants properly. I was dying. Talking to him and our driver Pavel made it obvious that politics hasn't been able to stop the flow of culture from the States to Cuba. For example, Juan told us that somehow Kanye is more famous there for his sneakers than his music, LeBron is #1 no matter how nice Curry is, Chris Brown is apparently a style icon, and even Macklemore has crossed over. Anyway, after grabbing some food and doing a little sightseeing with Juan and Pavel, our first adventure was joining Usher at a block party in a neighborhood called Regla. And Juan was right there in the middle of the chaos, making sure we didn't get crushed. I want to know what you were feeling in this moment, because it was pretty surreal just to watch it.
Just an exchange. You know, once again, making the connection with the people that's real. I want to understand the other side of the culture.
The real part, because that's what we know, that's what we grew up in.
That's what we are most comfortable, because that's where we grew up, that's where we came from, that's where we make a real connection. When I was a kid, we got together and we got in a cypher and we battled each other. We battled each other, lyrically, we told jokes and shit like that. We came up with the hottest dance moves, and whoever won or whoever got a reaction from the audience or from the crowd that was around, you felt electricity from that. That's what it still is here.
Yeah.
So hip hop as a raw culture, is still intact the way that it was when it was introduced to us for the first time. And people just really enjoy that energy.
Keep in mind, this was a surprise, and Usher's been a superstar for about 2 decades, so it's rare that he can interact with a group of fans to this extent in such a public place. Even after he left the block party, the crowd was following his car through the street for miles. Later that night, we had a private dinner with him and his team, and afterwards, Juan told us that he almost passed out when he'd first seen Usher at the hotel. Guess I'd forgotten to mention why we were actually in Cuba. My bad.
Uh-oh, already famous.
Our next field trip with Usher was checking out a performance from Havana's famed Compass dance group. Just like the block party, he actually got involved and had a really great time dancing with everyone.
First of all, I'm an honorary member of the Compass Dance School, just so you know. I was just completely blown away at how synchronized they were. But I wanted the rest of the world to be able to take a look at, this wonderful, organization that teaches youth and also to young people here who have a talent, but uses something that's relevant to them. Their rhythm,
it was small elements of things we've seen, like step is big in the US. There was a portion of that was pure step, and then they mixed it again with the drums and different dance moves. So it felt slightly familiar, but completely new at the same time.
Tapping is something that I kind of made the connection there. It felt very fresh. I had not seen it in that way. It was amazing to see it.
During the show, fans got word that Usher was in the building, so getting out was a little tough. And then our car broke down on the way home and we hadn't eaten in hours. It was a nice reminder of how spoiled we are in the US with services like Uber and seamless delivery. Don't worry though, we made it home safely, and the next day we got another reminder of how good we have it in New York. Juan and Pavel took us a few blocks from the Campus Dance Academy to show us where locals gather to access internet. And as you might have guessed, Wi-Fi isn't easy to come by in Cuba. That's definitely something that we take for granted in the States. How long have you had internet in Cuba?
Maybe 7 months, 8 months. You need buy the internet card. It's maybe $4 or $5. It's too expensive, man. 1 hour. 1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour.
Facebook and Instagram have only recently become available there, and at the time that we filmed in April, Snapchat was still blocked. Just try to imagine what your life would be like if your access to internet was so limited, or if you had to go through school without having Wi-Fi at your disposal. Well, we did actually get to visit an elementary school where we got to see Usher hang out with the kids for a while. Because of the language barrier, he needed a little help while speaking to them, but once they warmed up to each other, Spanish versus English didn't really matter.
As their substitute teacher for the day, that was my opportunity to let them know, listen, you can loosen up a little bit. I want you to make as much noise as you possibly can. It was just allowing them to have fun. You know, I think that their teachers, their counselors, their principal, told them that, they should be on their best behavior. And I think that's great, that's appropriate. But to be free, to be kids, to be expressive is why I'm there. Is why I came, is why I'm adopting the school, is why I feel like making a contribution by way of supplies, tools, and the means to be creative and be expressive. That's why I'm there. So to let them know, hey listen, from jump, I'm not your teachers, I'm actually one of you. And we can actually have a great time together. I know you can't understand everything I'm saying, but let's have fun and understand that education at that age, when they hear an adult or a person who is a celebrity tell them that an education is the most important thing to get, it's the truth. It's part of the reason that I've gone as far as I have. And at 6 and 7, they should be able to have a good time and it not be so damn serious.
After visiting the school, we wanted to do a little sightseeing of our own since it was actually our last day in town. Juan and Pavel showed us around Havana, including Chinatown, the main tourist strip near the Capitol building, where you'll find lots of shops, live music, and food, and also a makeshift gun range that the locals usually hit in their spare time. For the record, we were just shooting pellets, and this wasn't one of my finest performances, but my coworkers did pretty well. For such a quick trip to Cuba, we managed to see a lot more than we expected, and getting to spend time with both Usher and our new friends Juan and Pavel made the experience more well-rounded. On our last night in town, they took us to kick it at El Malecon, a beautiful strip along the ocean, which is actually about 90 miles off the coast of Florida. That's the spot where locals hang out, have drinks, play music, basically what you do with your friends in your neighborhood on a Friday night. I've traveled a pretty good amount, but this trip was easily one of the coolest experiences of my life, and it was nice knowing that Juan and Pavel had a good time chilling with us as well.
Today, Usher put his arm in my shoulder, man. Wow! Every celebrity come here, they just come here for vacation. No, not for share with people like Usher. When the Cuba people see this celebrity come here, just see a hope to improve, because the trouble it's between the government, not the people.
Although Juan and Usher have clearly lived very different experiences, it was encouraging to find out that they share the same sentiments about the relationship between the US and Cuba. As Usher explained, it's really important to meet new people and experience new cultures for yourself instead of making assumptions based on what you've been told by unreliable sources.
With the idea of an embargo and communism being a bad or negative idea, you don't know. You don't know if you're getting ready to walk into a hostile environment or what. But I didn't feel shit like that. It felt completely like welcome. I felt like, man, I need to know more about Cuba, know more about the culture, know more about the art. I think in a lot of ways, America teaches us a lot of fear of what we don't understand. But I've never let someone tell me what they think about someone else. I investigate myself.
Saying goodbye to our new friends was the worst part of the trip, but Juan blessed us with a cool gift for our office, and we definitely hooked him up with some Complex merch as well. Now, I'm just hoping that politics will get out of the way so that he can visit us in New York one day too.